Gina Carano canceled. The Mandalorian star fired for social media post. Now, I'm going to get into this because you have a lot of YouTubers that are giving their opinions, but you're going to get Drew Hernandez live tonight. So actress Gina Carano has been fired from The Mandalorian after posting on social media. She compared being a Republican of that of a Jewish person during the early stages in Nazi Germany. Now, I'm going to continue with this, okay? It doesn't end there. Free speech is dead. The former MMA fighter played Cara Dune in the hit Disney Plus show. This is also another screenshot that she posted as well, where she said this. Gina Carano, this is what Lucasfilm said. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilms, and there are no plans for her to be in the future, a Lucasfilm spokesperson said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter on Wednesday. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable, the statement continued. And I think most of us would agree with that, right? Let's continue. Carano was heavily criticized after she posted on Instagram stories that Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Okay, and she went on to say the post continued, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. That is historically true. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? She asked how that is different from what is happening today with the hatred of conservatives. And the article goes on to show many tweets. I'm going to give you my opinion on this real quick. But also, she's been an attack, a point of attack for the woke mob on the left, because she said all kinds of other stuff on Twitter. She's made all kinds of other posts. She's made fun of, putting pronouns in your bio. She put the infamous beep, bop, boop in there when, they were trying to tell her that pronouns are this serious thing. And, as if it's, a life or death situation. So she's very outspoken. She's obviously conservative. She's a woman that's not going to back down. She's everything that the left should love other than her political view. She also was an advocate for cleaning up the election process. I'm not sure if I can read this tweet because YouTube doesn't let you talk about the election of 2020 when it comes to, we know what, that shall not be spoken of. And she explained many, many things. And she made other comments defending herself throughout this time. But here's another thing. A lot of people are extremely pissed. Take a look at this on Twitter. Molly Hemingway wrote, "We canceled our Disney subscription tonight." There's a tweet. "We canceled our Disney subscription tonight," at Gina Carano. She posted a screenshot of her Disney bundle subscription being canceled. This became a trend last night where even guys like Dave Rubin were tweeting, "Disney has canceled Gina Carano, so I'm canceling my Disney Plus. We need to stop giving these people our money, and we must build new franchises. Gina, if you'd like to come on the show to discuss anything, let me know." Obviously, Jack Posobiec weighed in because Jack Posobiec is freaking awesome. Jack Posobiec tweeted, #cancel Disney Plus is the #1 trend nationwide as fans backlash to the firing of Gina Carano, to the firing of Gina Carano continues. This was trending #1 in the United States last night when this broke. #cancel Disney Plus. People are absolutely pissed. And there are more tweets of people wanting to cancel Disney Plus. So two things. I got this video, if we can take this down, of people that are videoing themselves. This is from one of my good friends, Sergio. He's one of the greatest photographers on the face of planet Earth and the universe itself. I mean, we always talk Star Wars, but shout out to Sergio for sending this in. I mean, people are just pissed, man. They just do not want to stand for this any longer. So here's a clip that I wanted to run for you guys.
Gina Carano from The Mandalorian has been fired from Disney for her political views. So if that's the case, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna cancel Disney. I'm gonna cancel my subscription, and I'm gonna put here other. The reason why, and I'm gonna put right here because I typed it out, for firing Gina Carano due to cancel culture and no consistency with freedom of speech. Because there were some issues like maybe 2-3 weeks ago. But yeah, guys, Gina Carano for the Mandalorian is done. So I am done with the Mandalorian, and all the peeps down at Disney could shove it, dude. So here we go. Continue to cancel. No thanks. Cancel. There it is. Done.
Done. And this is just one of millions of people that are pissed. Now let's get into the juicy stuff. What does Drew have to say about this? Well, number one, did Gina Carano do this on purpose? Because it kind of seems like the radical left in Lucasfilms kind of proved her point. I mean, she comes out and she makes this historical reference saying, you know, being a Republican in 2021 is kind of like being a Jew, you know, during the times of the Holocaust. Now, that might be a little too far of an example, but if you take a look at the other things that she was saying on her Instagram, she was making it very clear. She was trying to make the case that saying, look, before the Nazi regime was kidnapping Jews and throwing them into concentration camps, there was a good decade in the 1930s with the rise of Adolf Hitler and anti-Semitism that was becoming normalized throughout German society. As the Nazi regime began to rise, that was the common enemy that Adolf Hitler himself pointed to actually unify the people. People that were identified as Jews were seen as dirty, scum. They were stealing. They were people that didn't belong in society. Eventually, Adolf Hitler, with the infamous policies that he put forward, if you were a Jew, you couldn't have certain careers. You couldn't be a dentist. You couldn't be a doctor. You couldn't be a functioning person in society. And there was a lot of Nazi propaganda that went out in the 1930s before World War II even started that was demonizing the Jewish people. It was false propaganda that wasn't even true. So what that did is it demonized a class of people in the world of politics to where when it finally came for it to be normalized that Jews were being thrown in ghettos and they were these evil people, society was okay with it because they were indoctrinated through propaganda to believe that these people were evil and they should be dealt with and thrown out of society completely. That was the point that Gina Carano was trying to make. And she's trying to mirror where we are in 2021, where right now, what the left has done is it's very similar to what the Nazis did in the 1930s. They're engineering and they're grooming the masses to believe that Trump supporters are Nazis, they're evil, they're white supremacists, they're insurrectionists, they're terrorists. They should be thrown in education camps. You guys are seeing this on CNN. So what the mainstream media on the radical left is doing is very similar through propagandized content on social media, mainstream media like CNN, Jake Tapper. You have guys like Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon. They're all saying the same things. Brian Stelter, Helter Skelter, right? They're all saying the same things. What they're doing, and I agree with what Gina is saying, what they're doing is they're engineering and they're grooming and preparing the masses to believe that this group of people, conservatives, Republicans, Trump supporters, are terrorists, insurrectionists, and they're evil and should be dealt with and thrown in re-education camps, re-education programs. Immediately, after January 6th, immediately you saw the mainstream radical left media use that to paint the entire conservative movement, Republicans, Trump supporters alike, as terrorists, insurrectionists, and dangers to society, to the point where CNN had guests on that were literally advocating to take down OAN and Newsmax off of Comcast cable in people's homes. to take it out because they're deeming it as radical and evil and a danger to society. That's a fact. You've been seeing this since January 6th. And they're putting Republicans, they're putting conservatives, they're putting anyone that has a differing opinion than the radical left right now. So this is what Gina Carano was attempting to say. That it's very similar. That right now, our radical left-leaning culture in the United States of America is grooming people to believe that these groups in society, Trump supporters, conservatives, Republicans, are being groomed to believe that they're terrorists, insurrectionists through propaganda, that they're evil. So what Gina's trying to say, and I believe, I could be wrong, is that we're heading in a direction to where if the day comes where these radical leftists actually act on these things, we've had radical leftists openly come out and say we should take kids away from Trump-supporting families, put them in re-education centers. We should take Trump supporters and put them in re-education camps. This is a dangerous ideology. How do we deprogram the minds of 75 million Americans? You've been hearing this since January 6th. What happens when that day comes? All of this rhetoric that they've been grooming people to believe that it's true and that it's okay. What happens when that trigger is pulled? Where the radical left comes out and says, you know what? Through Joe Biden, through the radical socialist House and Senate, they put forth policy that comes out and someday says, you know what? All these crazy Trump supporters, conservatives, Republicans, they're all the same. They're evil. They're dangerous to society. They cannot be doctors. They cannot be actors. They cannot be in Hollywood. They cannot have career professions. This is what the Nazis did to Jews. They groomed the German public to believe that they were evil people. They demonized them. So when the time finally came where this group of people was being brutalized, it was normal in the minds of the public, in their psyche. Because if you believe that they're evil, then you believe that they should be wiped off the face of planet Earth. That is what she's trying to say, that the radical left is doing this to conservatives, Republicans, and Trump supporters on a daily basis, to where if that day comes where they pull that trigger and they want to throw all of us in re-education camps because we've been demonized, just like what China is doing to Muslims, and I don't hear Disney complaining about that. China has re-education camps as well. If that day comes here in the USA because we've been demonized, the minds of millions of people are going to say, oh, that's not bad. That's okay, because CNN said that they're terrorists. So why wouldn't we throw them in re-education camps? That's what Gina's trying to say. I mean, think about it. What's her name? Miss McCain. Was it on The View or one of these shows where she's coming out and saying, I'm fully open for throwing Trump supporters and insurrectionists in Gitmo? Why not? If we treat terrorists that way, why don't we treat insurrectionists? These are domestic terrorists. Why don't we throw them in Gitmo? This is the rhetoric that is alive and well in 2021. It's already here. The authoritarian communist rhetoric is here. Now it's time for policy to start coming in. Now we are here. We are here right now. This is what Gina Carano is warning people about. Obviously, you could say, okay, well, maybe saying that being a Republican is like being a Jew during the Holocaust, maybe that's too far-fetched to say now, but I understand her point of saying that the German people had their minds warped to view Jews as being demonized. So when the time came where these people were being thrown in gas chambers, a lot of the public didn't even know about it, but those that did, they thought it was normal. That's why they joined the SS. Why do you think they joined the German army? Why do you think they joined the Hitler Youth? Why do you think they joined this stuff? Because they believed Hitler's message. And the same thing is happening right now, where Trump supporters are being demonized. You can't be an actor and be a Trump supporter in Hollywood. Holy crap. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you come out, you're a doctor in the medical industry, you come out as a Trump supporter? Absolutely freaking not. You see the similarities between now and Nazi Germany? Because what the government did was demonize a group of people. And the media went along with it, which translated to what? The public saw that as being normal. And that's what Gina Carano is trying to say. So, Disney is getting canceled. And a lot of people are pissed off because it is very clear by now that the radical left and their communist, Marxist, ridiculous ideologies that are now invading pop culture. They've invaded the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. They've invaded Hollywood. It's now made its way to Star Wars. It's made its way to Wonder Woman, Marvel, DC. It's made its way to kids' movies. Kids' movies. These are kids' movies. Kids love this stuff. The first time I saw Star Wars was when I was a kid. I'd be willing to bet that the majority of people that see Star Wars see it when they're children, and it sticks with them forever. They can relate to Luke Skywalker. They can relate to Anakin Skywalker. They can relate to Obi-Wan Kenobi. They can relate to any character, Princess Leia, Han Solo, you name it, even the new generation of characters. They can relate to these people. Ahsoka Tano. And now, even my niece loves Gina Carano. My niece loves her. Loves her. Now she's gone. You see what these people are doing? This is all because of political opinions. Political opinions. And you know what? People might be saying this. Okay, Drew, well, you know what? Maybe it was a little too far. Did she go a little too far? Maybe she shouldn't have said the Jew thing. I mean, this is what people will say, because I instantly thought of this, right? People will say this. If you're like a doctor and you come out and say something like that, I mean, your boss is probably going to say, yeah, you know what? We don't like that kind of rhetoric. We're going to fire you because that kind of brings heat to our company. Okay. If that's the case, then explain this to me, okay? If that's the case with Disney, then explain this. Let's get this up. Pedro Pascal, for those of you that don't know who he is, Pedro Pascal is the Mandalorian. He plays the guy with the helmet on. Pedro Pascal, that's who he is. He's a radical leftist. He's the same guy that played that radical weirdo in Wonder Woman 1984, which that movie sucked, terribly sucked. But anyways, so check this out. Pedro Pascal, who also stars in The Mandalorian, compared supporters of President Donald Trump to Nazis. Here's the tweet. Losers. There's a Confederate flag in 1865. Losers. There's the Nazi flag in 1945. Losers in 2020 with a picture of a MAGA hat. That is a verified verified post on Instagram by Pedro Pascal. So here's another one. Here's a tweet right here from Pedro Pascal in 2018. He posted this. Hashtag This Is America, Germany, 1944, a picture of Jewish children in a concentration camp behind barbed wire. And then under it, America, 2018, kids in cages, which Obama built, by the way, not Trump, comparing the Holocaust to detention centers at the southern border. So let's get this down. So I don't want to hear anyone from Disney saying, well, that doesn't represent us. It's a little too extreme. You have to be more professional with your soul. Pedro Pascal compares Trump supporters to Nazis. Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian, on social media, openly and publicly compares Jewish children in concentration camps in the 1940s to kids at southern border detention centers in the USA. Same thing, the same exact thing. Making comparisons of modern day America to 1940s Nazi Germany. And Pedro Pascal is still a superstar. He's still with Disney, still employed. I don't see radical leftists going after his Twitter. I don't see radical leftists going to archive his Instagram and showing these things and saying, oh, this is too radical. They shouldn't be political. They shouldn't say anything. This doesn't represent our company. We just want to make art and tell stories. That is a load of garbage. Because you only say that when it's a conservative attempting to say things or make those comparisons between Nazi Germany and modern day America. But when a leftist does it, they get a pass. Why? Because they're all on the same team. They're all on the same page. The cancel culture continues. The propaganda continues. If what someone is saying doesn't fit their narrative, it gets canceled, censored, obliterated, and sent to the abyss because it doesn't fit the propagandized, pre-approved narrative.